Hey. Good morning. Good morning, Friday, November 4th, 2022.
Buddi3.
22. Get up, get your body moving. Got to get up. Good morning. Yo. What's happening?
Hey, is this thing on?
Yo, check 1 2 1 2. I need an echo machine back. That was hot.
Hey.
It was a high voice. You got it going over there. You been messing with your effects?
Not quite. Got a couple. I mean, I play with it a little bit, but I ain't really do no head smoking.
All right, what's happening, y'all? Good morning. Hey, Pops in the house says, "Wow, when did they decide to make Friday the day after Monday?"
Man,
Good morning, First Sky fam. Mad love from Vegas. What's happening, Pops?
Peace.
Thanks, Pops. Glad you like the track. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
This week did kind of fly by. Really.
I didn't hear you. The funk was bleeding over.
The funk was funking too hard. Said this year flew by, man.
Yeah, dude. I agree with Pops too. This week flew by. It was like Monday yesterday.
Man.
Except for Wednesday, which was a heavy day for us. Transitional. We'll talk about it. Hey, Josh Tay says, "Good morning and happy Friday." What's happening, my man?
Hey.
We gotta get together, bro. Gotta get together on some things. Where Valentine says, "Morning, fam. What's going on, brother? How you doing?"
Peace. Top of the
catch
morning.
Up with you soon too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Are we preparing for this mass exodus to Omaha? The Opera Omaha?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna find out who's all going. I'm definitely going on Sunday, the 2:00 matinee. Opera Omaha, the life and times of Malcolm X.
Hey, do something out of the ordinary.
Like, yeah, man.
Matinee.
Like catch a matinee.
Hey,
baby. We are the prototype. Why is everybody trying to copy this around town right now?
Come on, man. They say imitation is the best form of flattery.
Oh, that's what's up. Hey, as long as they get some conversations going, I don't care.
Hey, conversation rules the nation, y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Here it is. It is Friday, November the 4th today, 2022. Coming up on some cold weather, man. It's going to be cold and rainy in Omaha today. Cold and rainy. And then we're getting 2 to 4 on Saturday. And I've been here long enough to say 2 to 4 without even having to say 2 to 4 what? 2 to 4 on Saturday, bro. Main reason Pops don't want to come back to Omaha.
Oh yeah.
That S word that I don't like cussing at you with. Yeah, that's happening Saturday, man.
I'm actually surprised y'all made it out of October.
Yeah, we've been talking about it like warm weather for this time of year that's been going down, but it's all coming to an end as of today.
Enjoy the good days while you can.
Yeah. Carolyn Jack gives us a good morning with Purple Heart. What's happening, Carolyn Jack? I see you. Yep. Thanks for joining us. Shout out to the 630 crew. Let me know how the mix was. Threw some new tracks in the mix today. I want to talk to y'all about how I stumbled across this album. I don't know how y'all buy music these days or even hear new music these days. It's kind of a thing I ask a lot of people, like, how do you come across this and that? I had a strange coming across of some things that I think might be the future.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Man, looking forward to hearing it. I know that new Barcades is still ringing in my playlist.
Yeah. And then I got that Busted Rhyme that
that slap.
that slap. Yep, yep. So I got a couple little new ones just recently. But yeah, strange ways of finding music these days for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, man. I'm old enough to remember the Tuesdays. Like I miss those Tuesdays when the
Yeah,
new music dropped. It was a thing.
was a thing. And we often talk about since we're musicians, we like to drop things around here, like we dropping albums. There is like a album drop type of rollout that happens with drops. That's kind of a typical one. Beyonce came in with Lemonade though and blew all that up with a
Man.
surprise album drop. But this thing that Drake is just doing here recently is like turning this on his head too. Like he's making fun of the drop right now and doing all these like fake interviews and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty interesting.
Ah. You put it in the context for me because I did see him. I think 21 Savage. They did the fake Tiny Desk.
Exactly. The fake Tiny
Okay.
Desk, the fake Howard Stern, so they making fun of the rollout. So the rollout is interesting, man. But this new way of finding music that I just stumbled on without trying, I think is very interesting too. But I'll talk about that a little later. Well, let's go ahead and get into the show first. Good morning, Judy Prinzler, morning family. How are you this morning? Rose Review says R&B taught me what to say, hip hop taught me what to do. Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I do like that. I do like that.
It's the
I
other way
like.
around for me though. Hip hop taught me what to say. R&B taught me what to do.
Hmm.
And we'll leave it at that. And
Hey,
Omar Valentine says, stood in line at midnight several times for some great albums. That's what I'm talking
hey,
about,
I'm
man.
saying it's an experience. You're part of it. It's an
Yeah.
experience. We definitely miss that a lot. But do y'all listen to new music? Like where that is a good question. Just drop in the chat. Where do you find new music? How do you go about getting new music? Or
Yeah.
are you just kind of sticking to your guns, if you will?
Yeah. Moving on, we do have special guests today too, just to let you guys
Yes.
know. I don't know if you saw it in the headlines, but we have Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on her name, coming on through, and also Dave Pantos, put some respect on his name, is going to come through today and talk a little bit as well. And as we inch closer to Tuesday, which is vote
Man,
day, yeah, it's going down. And remember,
I like
next week we got Monday, we're going to do our show, and then we got Tuesday, we're going to do a special version of First Sky Omaha in the morning, which is vote day. So yeah, and
4 days, y'all.
special guest Michelle Troxclair on that day. So we'll definitely be talking about civics and what's at stake and all the good stuff that she likes to talk about and like we like to talk about too. Brianna Full hit us up a little earlier too. I'd like to try to squeeze her in the next few days too if we can. She's running for school board. So we'll talk about those things. We'll talk about all those things coming up. But that's what's happening in the next few days with First Guy Omaha in the morning.
Man.
So yeah. If you gotta get your study guide out and get busy this weekend, get busy. Make some calls, arrange some rides, do all the things. Don't get nobody water in line, but uh, you know, and remember,
That part.
you don't have to show your ID to vote. Not yet.
Yet, but make sure you vote so we can keep it that way. So yeah, that's how that works. But yeah, definitely be smart, be safe. Big shout out to everybody who already voted,
Yeah,
to the early voters.
there you go.
Big shout out to y'all just knocking around on out.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Yep. Give us your experience if you've done that. Just for early voting, was it a ballot? Did you walk in? Let's go on, see what's going on, man. For sure, for sure. Good
Yeah.
morning, Christy Nor. Good morning to you. I know you've been out there fighting the good fight and doing the good work, and we got a few more days before it's all gonna be manifested. Tuesday's the day.
Man, it's coming. It's coming quickly. So again, big shout out to everybody who has already voted. And if you haven't, make sure you're educating yourselves before you go to the poll or even at the poll. Again, you don't have to feel rushed or anything. You can take some of the literature that's out there with you. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that and looking forward to speaking to our guest today. If you haven't heard or seen Senator Carol Blood, today will be your opportunity. And of course, Dave Pontos, as Paul just answered or mentioned. So if you have questions, feel free to drop those into the chat, or if you want to feed into or chime into anything that we're talking about today, feel free to do so. I kind of have a honorable mention story that we didn't get to get into really on Wednesday, looking at just some of the worries and dangers of election day. Looks like actually entities across the country, specifically churches, faith organizations down here in the Bible Belt, which is kind of a very tense area. They're preparing for possible backlash and things like that for people to vote. So we'll dive into that situation. Also looking at the need for new leadership, man, especially in DHHS. one of the chat chimers brought this to our attention. Apparently, there's $11 million delinquent bill to a state contractor that we're going to talk about, but that's not it. Apparently, there's some taxpayer dollars that's been wasted on blue jeans. Is it about dress code? Is it about more? Should have gone all the way to the Nebraska Supreme Court? We'll see. But yeah, a lot of questionable decisions from the Department of Health and Human Services brass. So yeah, we'll talk about it. Love to hear what the people out there have to say, because again, you're the ones paying the taxes. Let us know. Also, we are continuing to follow the money. That is the theme of this season, looking at what's going on with the ARPA funds coming through, not just the hundreds of millions of dollars that's coming into North and South Omaha, but there's still hundreds, even billions of dollars still out there coming from all over the place. And it's very interesting who's applying for it, who's asking for it, and why they're asking for it. So we definitely like to follow $20 million that's going to a local company to expand. So again, we'll definitely love to talk about that. And also, if you have any more questions in regards to the hundreds of millions of dollars that's coming to North and South Omaha, I'd love to dive into that as well. Yep. But again, if there's anything else on your hearts and your minds, that's pretty much all we're talking about today. Definitely want to leave enough time for our guests, especially just days away from Election Day. So definitely looking forward to that. But as always, if there's anything on your hearts, your minds that we're not discussing, feel free to drop that into the chat, and we will try our best to get into it and speak about it.
I got some on my heart and mind I want to discuss. We're going to leave a little room to talk about what happened Wednesday too.
Oh yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of the chat chimers offline, and there it's very interesting the switch that happened with our little group here on Wednesday. We had some people that came in starting some mess because they didn't like the Deb Neary was on the show, and they continued to talk even after that as well. So I'm going to leave a little room there for the chat chimers to chime up on it, have a little discussion about it, review a little bit, kind of recap, and then see what we needed, how we handle it and how we will handle it in the future. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that too. So get your thoughts together and get ready for that, and much more to come for sure.
Yeah, man. So in the meantime, in between time, let's go ahead and get the show on the road, man. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, first time listeners, last time listeners, everybody's here, man. Shout out to Weaponize the squad. Yeah. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Let's go.
Let's do it. What up? Good morning. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you. Thanks for joining us again on this Friday, November the 4th, 2022. If you're on Facebook, do us a favor, share the show. We want to get as many people in the conversation as possible, even if those people are going to come in and try to start some mess. We'll shut them down. We'll talk about that coming up. Little room for discussion about what happened on the show on Wednesday. Get your thoughts together for that. Love to talk about it. And thank you very much for that. Everybody that's over on YouTube as well. Lucia Rodriguez gives us a buenos dias. Thank you for joining us on YouTube over there. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Whatever you do over there on YouTube, appreciate that. Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Is it your birthday, Wanda Lewis?
Hey,
did I see that? Let us know. Appreciate everybody that's joining in on the chat this morning as well. And don't forget, we do have special guests coming on in. Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on her name. Our next governor. And also Dave Pantos will be coming in as well. He's been doing the good work out here too, trying to help people get in, get their rental money so they can, take care of, stay in their homes and things like that. So putting in the good fight, running for county attorney, and we'll be talking to him as well. And of course, we're only a few days away from the election, so we're going to be talking a lot about that type of thing as well. So get your thoughts together. Let us know. Linda in Chicago gives us a happy Friday. Y'all feeling good that it's Friday?
Yeah,
let us know about your week. And also, we're going to have an extensive haps a little later on today, too. So get your haps ready for the end of the show. We're going to talk about what's going on this weekend. I mean, not much is going on, but studying that voter's guide and getting in there on Tuesday. But let us know what else is going on. We got a few haps for you as well. So get your haps together and get ready. And with that said, yeah, thank you for joining us. Shout out to the 630 crew over there on the radio channel as well. If you want to hear a celebration of black music 24/7, man, go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the listen button. Or if you have an Amazon Alexa, you can ask Alexa to play First Sky Omaha radio and get busy with us.
Oh, yeah.
Got some new jams over there. And the new jams came my way in a strange way. First of all, Pops in the chat says, I miss the days when you went to the record store and the salesperson would play the latest thing from the record distributor. So,
Man.
yeah, man, it was an experience, like you said. Omar Valentine says, too busy still jamming the old school to listen to new music.
Okay, you missing out, man. You missing out though. There's some gems out there.
Some gems, there's some jams. So there's because we do stuff on social media, I run across certain things, and basically, I guess if I'm not looking at TikTok, I'm looking at people who recorded stuff on TikTok and then put it on like Instagram stories or Facebook stories or whatever. So you're seeing recycled videos. And there's a couple of musicians I follow. One of them is this keyboard player. He's playing some pretty cool, groovy stuff. His name is I can't really see his name. Yashin Hunter Jr.
Okay.
Yashin is YASHN, I believe it. YAA. Oh no, that's an A. YAAHN. Jan Hunter. Jan Hunter. And he's got some pretty groovy stuff. And then there's a bass player, this girl that plays bass that I see sometimes on TikTok or some of these other places. And then I saw that they collabed on something that was real funky, and I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. And I kept hearing it over and over. And of course, you know that if you're on TikTok or any of these, you can save that track now because you can use it for whatever else you want to use it for or whatever. I kept seeing everybody doing it, man. There's like thousands and thousands of times when people are grooving to these tracks. And it's like the TikTok version of this is like old black folks that are like, listening to it. And then a little change coming. Like, oh, that's tight. And they groove, and it's like an approval of an old black man saying this is a funky groove right here when he's doing that, listening to it. So this kept happening, man. And then finally, yesterday, this dude Hunter, he dropped, hey, I got this new album out called Chill Tape Volume 3. Check it out. And he started running down all the tracks, and it's all the stuff that everybody has been pulling off of TikTok and Instagram and all that. And I went to Apple Music and found the whole album of that. So there's like 5 or 6 or 7, 8 tracks on there of these grooves that he made from the TikTok stuff and from the collaborations between him and other TikTokers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It really struck me as I went looking for that cat. Okay, so I got to explain for the young folks out here. You the older folks know what I'm talking about. It's a difference between you turning on the radio and getting whatever they feed you, and you seeking out an artist. You going to the record store, you digging through the crates looking for them, you standing in line all night, all the stuff that you do in order to get that artist that you're seeking out. Well, this is the first time in a digital sense that I got impelled to go seek out this artist.
Really?
Yes, which is the reason why it stands out for me. I guess I've done that in the past a little bit, but not to the extent that I did this guy. Like I was looking around for it, went and bought the album. You know what I'm saying? Like I started looking for the vinyl. Chill stuff. I don't know if I want to play it because Facebook is probably going to shut me down on it. But
yeah,
I'm gonna play a little piece, man. If they quiet us down here for a minute, we'll see.
I think you got about 30 seconds.
Okay, if you heard this track before.
Oh yeah, I heard that. That's him.
That's him and that girl playing bass. So that his name is Jan Hunter Jr. Yeah, man. So I've been hearing that all over the place. We've been hearing that chill vibes. It's a good groove.
Yeah.
Okay, so he got a whole album full of that, and I found it yesterday, and I was like, this might work a little bit. This might work, because it didn't feel like it was fed to me like the radio or like internet tries to do you.
He lives here in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's in Atlanta. Yep.
I'm gonna find him.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that experience. Every time he starts this beat, he starts that beat with that's Hunter. It was pretty dope. Let me see if I can. I don't think I started on.
There's a lot of artists like that on social media though. Shout out to the Pocket Queen, she's dope.
Pocket Queen is another one. Pocket Queen is funky as
Come on,
all
man.
dude.
Mark
Dude.
Ribier.
As a matter of fact, Hunter had some tracks with the Pocket Queen. That's what I'm saying. Like he's been.
That's where I've seen that's where I heard that is some of the collab videos at that. I think that might be her on that groove on the drums.
Yeah, I think it is her on the groove. Yep,
That's Hunter.
that's Hunter.
Yeah. Shout out to the Pocket
Okay, so
Queen.
that's like three cats on TikTok and all this stuff that decided to collab on something. And yeah, and they got their own crowds, so they've been pulling each other's crowds. There's kind of something to that, man, as far as the music business is concerned. So,
oh yeah, it's a new wave, man. It's a new wave. It's kind of interesting. It's a battle between that and the DJs. It depends on your type of music, but there's a the conversation amongst DJs down here. A lot of people are trying to dismiss the DJs, saying we don't need DJs no more. You break music on TikTok, and yes, that's true. But also it's false. You know what I mean? Like you still need a DJ to spin it in the party. Still need a DJ to bring it to the people. But right. TikTok is definitely a way to find new music. Yeah, definitely.
The TikTok to me is reminding me of what the mixtapes does. Rome's reviews in the chat says mixtapes volume 1 to whatever attached with the street ball tapes back in the day. We were just talking about and1 street ball.
Couple documentaries out about and1 actually.
Right. Huge for them. So that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of like getting a mixtape and being like, oh, who was that on that? Let me go find out who that is. Mixtapes is another way that you used to go seek out an artist rather than just get spoon-fed stuff. So anyway.
Mark my words. It's rounding back around to those times where artists are going to get more creative and stop being so lazy and just relying on the algorithms and digital. Like, you're going to start having more experiences. It's going to start happening more and more and more and more. Because that's just, especially as artists get more and more independent, they're figuring it out. And I'm listening to the conversations and I'm watching it happen in real time. It is changing, and you will see more and more artists get back to that. But for those who aren't really listening to new music, man, look for it. It's out there.
Missing out. There's some things out there that's got the vibe, man. The real, it ain't that all new music is messy.
Drugs,
like
murder.
Yeah. There's still some people out there doing some stuff. They just have to find different ways to do it beyond the mainstream.
Yep.
Which we come from an era that's always been the case. After Michael Jackson and Prince, we went and dove into the underground to find everything after that. So,
and the underground is still the underground, man.
Yeah. Anyway, enough on that. 723 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for everybody that's on YouTube right now. A lot of people on YouTube.
Hey,
thank you. Also, again, if you're on Facebook, do us a favor, share the show. Got lots to talk about today. Can't wait for our special guests to come in. Let's jump into some stories so we can make sure that we have time for those guests. Buddy, what's on the agenda for today?
Well, actually, let's start off with this whole conversation about Wednesday, just to prepare, just in case we do have it happen again when our guests come on. So let's have that conversation before. So do you want to kind of set that up?
Yeah, like we can do that for sure. I just wanted to. Good morning, Whitney Richardson says, "Morning, family. Good morning to you, Josh Tank. I'm gonna send you that album, bro. You're gonna get you the whole album. It's got all the grooves on it." I just wanted to spend a little time. I'm glad that Josh is on here too. He's one of the people that I talked to offline about what happened. Again, recap. We had some guests on that apparently some Republicans didn't like. They found their way to the page, to the show. They dropped their rhetoric all throughout the show, the live show Wednesday. They also continued to comment and things like that on Friends of First Sky Omaha and on the First Sky Omaha page, which really made me reassess what's going on. So the page now, I feel like the First Sky Omaha page is like the public page. Friends of First Sky Omaha is us, and we don't need it. And I will it's a group. It's a group page. It's a club. I will push out whoever is going to come in there tripping. That's just all there is to that.
Mm-hmm.
It made me redefine some things when it comes to that too. So it just had me kind of thinking about how to approach that. We leave it open so that people can come through and say what they want to say all the time. And we approach it that way, but at the same time, there was a clear delineation. I wanted to see if anybody else felt this way. The Republicans that came in talking trash on Wednesday, was more rhetoric than it was conversation. And I kept trying to push, I don't mind that you're here, but let's have a conversation the way that people have conversations, the way that people talk to each other. Buddy, are you there? Are you stuck? Okay.
No, I'm listening. I'm here.
You got so deep in thought for a minute, you got stuck.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm thinking and listening.
yeah. So, good morning, Stacey Jean. Good morning, first Sky Omaha family and friends. Appreciate you coming
Peace,
on in.
peace.
Share the show on your page if you wouldn't mind. So anyway, yeah, it just struck me as it was more than just trying, people coming in trying to have a conversation with different viewpoints. It was very aggressive, very different from how we do things here at First Sky Omaha and friends of First Sky Omaha and the chat chimers and the fam that we've grown here. And just kind of wanted to hear what you guys thought of it, thought of what happened Wednesday. I was impressed with the fact that the chat chimers jumped in and battled the way they did. The chat chimers all acted as moderators almost on Wednesday, which I don't want to lay on you guys, but like I'm glad that Precious says she's here for it. But everybody else, I remember Josh yesterday saying he was kind of bothered by it a little bit. Like, everybody comes here to learn, everybody comes here to be cool, everybody comes here to have a chill vibe in the morning, not to get on and talk to Trumpers tripping. You can get that all day, every day, everywhere else. Here, this show is trying to do something different. So that's my thoughts on it, buddy. I wanted to hear your thoughts on it, and also the chat chimers, of course. Kimra Snipes is in the chat, giving us a good morning. Kimra, I'd like to hear what you have to say about it as well. We're talking about the thing that happened on the show Wednesday when we got some Trumpers that came in that didn't like Deb Neary talking a bunch of junk. Rome's reviews in the chat says the ones on the far left or right aren't trying to hear anything. The less far someone is, the better the intellect. Interesting. Okay, that's a good point there. Also, Pops in the chat says those people were trying to use First Sky to debate and to recruit new cult members. The platform is not for that. I'm proud of the fam who shut them down with the quickness. That's what's up.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Definitely going to put that out there and let you guys think about that a little bit, brew on a little bit, give us some comments throughout the show. We'll come back to that subject and talk about it in a minute because we do have a special guest waiting in the wings, and she is a busy person because the election is Tuesday. I know she got lots to do. We're going to go ahead and bring her in. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on her name. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. How are you?
I'm good. You got a beautiful field of wheat behind you, I see.
I know, right? So you can't see the rest of my house that needs to be cleaned, right?
Oh, I understand.
We've all been there.
Well, good morning. How have you been? So we haven't talked to you for a while. What's been going on?
Oh, yeah. I think it was during the primary last time we talked. So it's been quite a while. But I've been periodically listening to your show, as you know, and so I know what's going on. But yeah, the campaign's going really well. I came back late last night from Ogallala, Nebraska.
Okay.
So we've been out west a lot. I'm sorry to say we haven't had any debates. My opponent refuses to debate me.
We find that funny
regardless of the circumstances, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
I guess I just have to understand that clearly he doesn't want to debate me because he knows I'd kick his butt in a debate. I don't understand any other reason, right?
There you go. There you go. We see it. It's a red flag. It's a red flag.
It's a red flag. Well, it's a slap in the face of democracy, right? And quite frankly, very elitist. I've got over $10 million. I can buy my way into office. I don't need a debate.
Man.
We definitely get that sense. Definitely get that sense that the office is primed to be bought and paid for if certain people have it their way. And I'm kind of curious, how do you combat against that? It seems like you're getting momentum. I just saw an editorial on Omaha World Herald that has some pretty good words to say about you. So yeah, how do you combat that?
It's definitely very David and Goliath, but it's not my first time at the rodeo, right? I've done that before. Usually outspent about 5-1 in the elections that I've won. I just, I'm going to be outspent, but I'm never going to be outworked. His ground game has not been better than my ground game.
Hey.
Ultimately, we know that there's more Republicans than Democrats in Nebraska. But there is in my county as well. And I've won. Right. I don't have unrealistic expectations that we're going to blow this campaign out of the water. But I feel we've closed the gap, which clearly we know because when they did their polling, it showed that we had closed the gap, which is when they told him not to debate. because they said it would be that risk assessment told him it was not a good idea to debate, is what he had told somebody.
Oh yeah,
in an open forum.
Wow.
So yeah, right. So if risk assessment tells them it's a bad idea to debate right after they do polling, what does that tell you? So for us, it's it's very David and Goliath, and that we're just going to keep on keeping on until 8 o'clock at night on November 8th. And we don't have the money that he has, but he doesn't have the spirit and the stamina that I have.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
we're working 18-hour days. I can't do that a whole lot longer, but we've been working 18-hour days. I mean, just yesterday, we leave the Omaha metro area at 7 a.m. and get back at, 9 o'clock at night. And, that's to go and speak at a Rotary Club and then have a meeting in Paxton. And, we go where we're asked. We talk when we're asked. We don't turn anybody down unless it's a scheduling conflict. But what I can tell you is that when we get in front of people, be they Democrat, be they Republican, be they Libertarian, be they whoever, we win their votes.
Yeah.
And that's because I have a plan. And my plan isn't just rhetoric. It's not platitudes. And I walk you through how we're going to make these things happen. And what I'm going to do differently than we've had in decades is we're going to take that plan, we're going to have metrics, and we're going to mirror our budget to that plan. Right now, our budgeting is we're going to cut. And you hear it all the time in election cycles where they're like, oh, well, we're going to tighten our belts and government needs to quit their crazy spending. And so what that equals to is we're going to cut without a plan. And then when things start to fail, like the Alton plant in Meade, like the St. Francis contract, like Access Nebraska contract, when those things fail, then we're going to be an ATM and we're just going to throw money at it. The workforce shortage. I mean, you guys are younger than me, but 25 years ago, the media told us we're going to have a workforce shortage because baby boomers are going to age out. What did Nebraska do about it? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. We don't plan. And then when we do something bad, we try and shove it under the rug and hope that you forget about it, which unfortunately voters do.
It's funny. Just this morning, I was listening to, I think it was NPR or something. There was a Republican senator on talking about blaming the Democrats' wild spending for the inflation that we have right now. So you're echoing exactly what I just heard. The rhetoric of it's all Democrats' fault. All this wild spending is causing this inflation, as if we didn't have COVID, as if we didn't have all these other things going on. So
as if we didn't have Trump for 4 years prior to that. Like it takes 2 years.
Here's a good question for you. They say the same thing at the state level, right? Like Democrats are going to raise your taxes. We're going to go crazy. Who's been in power for the last 25 years in the executive branch?
There you
Has
go.
it been a Democrat?
No.
There you go.
Who's been the predominant party in the body of the legislature for as long as this has existed? Has it been the Democrats?
No, right. I can't
your
see
property taxes are still outrageous. So if we're going to start pointing fingers and talk about fault, just saying, since we talked last, I got to tell you, I've come to the realization that they never want to lower your property taxes, man.
Oh, no.
We've known for 25 years how to do it. Ever since Ben Nelson was governor, they did research on it. It's the unfunded mandates we talked about last time. If they actually lower your taxes for the average person like us, what are they going to run on every 2 years?
Raising the taxes?
It drives me a little crazy. It's like nothing that I thought I'd ever say out loud. But after this last session, and the people that got the tax breaks weren't us.
Of course.
It was the wealthy and big business.
Of course.
And they're going to keep doing that to the middle class because we're too busy working and paying our bills and keeping our heads down and feeding our families. So they know they can get away with it. But when they run for office, they tell us the opposite. And we fall for it every time. So it's like we said last time, man, if people keep voting for the same, that's exactly what they're going to get.
Yep. And that's why we've been waving the new blood flag. We definitely need new blood. And I like what you're hearing, what you're saying as far as the plan, because the saying goes, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And we kind of seen the lack of plan really in Nebraska leadership. So I am kind of curious. Let's not talk about the politics. And this is something that we've been talking about here on the show. Let's talk about the policy as far as your plan. And I did kind of look at the Grand Island Independent. They have a pretty good article about some of your plan, and they have some questions about that. If that's okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so go for it.
All right. Well, one thing we definitely talk about here on the show is education, and you kind of brought that up. Definitely going towards workforce development, brain drain, educating and keeping people in Nebraska. But you have a plan about school funding, which is something that we're always talking about. What can you expound upon that plan? You said you want to replace a formula that depends on the wealthiest landowner in the school district. Yeah. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, and mostly it was in response to my opponent's plan where he's going to take the funds and to spread it evenly across Nebraska, like it's this pie that's meant for 8 people that he's going to serve to 800 people. Like it doesn't make any sense, and it's going to raise property taxes. We did the math, and I think it was in if you look at our reservations, there was one reservation where the levy would go from like $1.20 something to like $24. I mean, because the way that funding works is that you put it has to be student centered. You put the child before the funding. So maybe in your school you have a lot of children that have disabilities or need help with learning, and so those are going to be extra expenses as opposed to a child that does not have a disability. You have to put the child and the metrics and the goals before the funding. So what we use right now is something called the TIOSA formula. The TIOSA formula has been around since the 90s. It hasn't worked really ever. And it's not transparent. It lacks transparency, and it's antiquated. And so it needs to go away. You'll hear people say, well, we need a new formula, or we just need to spend the money equitably and like $1 per child or however much it is. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Because every child's needs is different, and it's that school district, that school board that knows what those wants and needs and metrics are. And so we need a combination of 2 or 3 things, actually. We need new school funding that is equitable and that is fair, but we also need sustainable funding, which is what we're lacking right now. And that's when I refer to the school funding depending in these rural communities on the most wealthy landowners. Who of course are angry because they don't have kids in school, which is understandable. But I mean, for me, I feel like I want to fund education as a taxpayer because education is important to our workforce, not to mention giving, our children a hands up in life, a leg up, right?
Right.
But there are things that we can do that have nothing to do with property taxes to fund our schools. Right now, our coffers are doing very well. And you hear people talking about all these special projects. We need to start investing in something sustainable that comes with education before we try, to add money to lakes or to create a new program. I mean, that was just tongue in cheek, but you know what I mean.
You read my mind with that one.
But, I'll use last year as a really good example. Senator Lynn Walls, who is the head of the Education Committee, and one of the co-sponsors was actually a Republican, Senator Lindstrom. They had a 1 penny sales tax increase, which I'm not a big fan of increasing any kind of taxes, but it would have resolved the property tax reliance forever for our schools. So sometimes you have to balance things out. Now, I'm not saying that was the end all solution. I'm saying that we have solutions like that we don't implement. We're willing to give tax cuts to wealthy people, but we're not willing to give property tax relief to the average Joe on the streets and help our schools be sustainable, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So that's what I'm referring to when I say that is that. And then, I believe in a K through 14 education. You want to talk about workforce? We've put tens of millions of dollars into our community colleges. We can educate for free any high school senior who decides a 4-year path isn't the solution for them. Get them a 6-month certification in ag, get them a 1-year, 2-year degree in healthcare, in insurance. And I mean, we have a shortage in pretty much every workforce entity that we have in Nebraska, including the trades. What if these young people can walk into a job that has a living wage? Big surprise, right? Living wage, Retirement. Remember when people didn't have to like live off their Social Security, that you worked 20, 30 years and you got retirement? Good health care, and then we shore that up with things like universal child care, so we can keep the young families in Nebraska. They're going to stay in Nebraska. We're so busy looking in other states for employees. We're not sewing what we have here. Not to mention all the seniors that retired early during the pandemic that we aren't trying to bring back into the workforce. Like we have a pool of people right here that we're not even tapping.
Right.
So
let me jump in real quick, just to let people know that you're speaking with us with Senator Carol Blood. Put some respect on her name. She's our next governor. So, but that's going to be because you go down on Tuesday and vote. The thing that I've learned since we talked to you last is just how much power the governor has. You guys, governors actually have more power. They affect us more. They have more power over our lives than even the president, even anything federal. So to me, I've learned that over the course of the time that I've talked to you last, and now it puts a different spin on everything that you say, because it's like, oh, she's gonna get in there and change that. Oh, she's gonna get in there and fix that. Like you have the teeth, like I like to say at work all the time. You have the teeth to go in and push these things, which makes you being in the seat way more important than anything that I understood before. And I understood a lot before, but I have grown to learn even more so about what it is that you can accomplish. So I just wanted to throw that out there and let people in the chat know, keep that in mind. Anybody that's tuned in and listening right now, to understand like how important it is. I mean, you got to go down there Tuesday and make it happen, because if the alternative is what I consider somebody who is worse than rickets right now.
Man,
The stuff that he's talking about to me seems worse, and to have another, some more years of that seems pretty unbearable out here. So that's why we do that. If you have any questions for Senator Carol Blood, please put them in the chat. We'll definitely read those out. Linda in Chicago says local news stations should have offered a debate, and if Pillin refused, they should have let Carol Blood do a town hall. Yeah, that's a good idea. The community deserves it. We need to vote the cowards out. Linda Chicago also says, wonder what the childless farmers that don't want to help fund education think about government subsidies.
Can I respond to that?
Please do.
All right. So I grew up on a farm. I know that we hear people, and my opponent being one of them, they talk about how subsidies are supposedly socialism, but yet they take PPP loans, and what you need to know about government subsidies when it comes to the food that we grow, though, is that it helps keep our grocery costs down. So it's really easy to say, they'll take this, but they won't do that. Sometimes we have to be careful to put things in perspective. And I'm not saying that I don't disagree that it's hypocritical sometimes how people translate things.
Right.
But I will say when it comes to subsidies and farms that, ag grows our economy in Nebraska. And if we didn't subsidize a lot of our farmers, especially when times are bad, our groceries, you think they're high now, would go sky high. So I just want to put that in perspective. I'm not dissing anybody on that one, but I just, again, want to put it in perspective in support of our farmers.
No, we appreciate that. We admittedly don't know much about rural Nebraska and the farm. We kind of leave that to our partners over at Flatwater Free Press, for instance.
Therapy gets you from.
Is that who's coming?
That was not me.
Buddy,
you can hear that?
Yeah, we can hear that. Yeah.
We've been trying to get sound and video to come through it. Okay.
I was like, Senator Blood, would you turn your phone off? I was getting ready.
I apologize. That was an ad on the article that I'm looking at. I apologize.
Just playing. So we appreciate that perspective. That makes sense. I didn't know that about the farming industry. At one point, I didn't know that the subsidies came so that they can keep the costs low. It's rough out here for farmers. We do know that much.
For sure.
It is because of the global warming that people say don't exist. When you have drought, you have fires, you have floods, and we're really lucky in Nebraska that when there is a recession, when there is inflation, even though we don't suffer like the East and West Coast do, and that's because we have ag as a basis of our economy. As long as ag does well, we do well financially. But for the person who says that we need a living wage, I agree. And that's another reason for you to get your rear ends to the polls.
There you go.
Especially our 18 to 34-year-olds that I just looked at some data yesterday at the vote by mail returns. And the group that is the slowest in returning their vote by mail returns are the 18 to 34-year-olds, which drives me crazy because they're the ones that are going to drive our economy the next decade. And they're the ones that are unhappiest with how government is right now. So they gotta get to the polls. Everybody has to get to the polls. Give your friends, your neighbors, your family rides to the polls if they need it. I know Preston Love has a bus available to take people to the polls.
Yep.
And there's a lot of folks willing to randomly go and pick up grandma and take a ride. You can contact me too, and I'll help find a ride. Just don't stay home. I know it's a non-presidential year, but the future of Nebraska depends on the people that get out and want change and vote.
Yeah.
And we have closed the gap, and we can actually win this, but only if people come out and vote.
There you go. There you go. I would actually argue it's not just the future of Nebraska, but the future of the country. Because we know Ricketts is also a part of, and of course, if Pillen, does win, it's part of a national push. So I am kind of curious nationally how you will respond and how would you support things like maybe student debt relief, other things that do require governor approval and support.
I'm going to tell you the reason I'm a Democrat, and that's going to answer that question.
Okay.
So, I always make a joke. Well, first of all, we brought electricity to rural Nebraska, but seriously, the reason I became a Democrat was because I was always taught that Democrats lift up the middle class, that we have always been about fair wages and benefits and making sure that if you're you're working Nebraskan, that you can afford to take care of your family and that you're not going to lose your home if somebody gets sick. And you're not going to have to live out on the streets because you don't have any retirement. Like, it's the same reason I support unions. And so when it comes to things like college debt, I support relief for that. And one of the reasons I do is, first of all, you think about, we always talk about how like 18, 19-year-olds make bad decisions because their brains aren't fully developed. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who didn't understand they were basically signing their life away when they took these loans. Like, some of them thought they were getting Pell Grants. They didn't even know they were getting loans, because a lot of kids don't have parents that help them with this.
Right.
And then it isn't so much the loans, but the interest.
Yeah.
Right. The interest on these loans are unbelievable. At 18, you can't even get a mortgage for a house, but yet we want to go ahead and allow you to sign your life away on these student loans. Yeah, and it's crazy. And quite frankly, I think the interest is, very predatory.
Oh, yeah.
So, when it comes to anything that, I think that, we kind of need to get back to like the 1950s when it comes to the middle class part of it, right? Like, where we want everybody to do well because we have a better America, we have a better state, when no matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from, you're doing well.
Yeah, this time for everybody though. This time for everybody.
Time for everybody.
It's funny you said that, Paul, because I'm thinking about it. Like, think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s family and his parents and where they were in the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were definitely wealthy, African American families in the 50s that were rocked by the 80s and the crack epidemic. So I feel what you're saying about getting back to that middle class ideal in the 50s.
Yeah, wages can match. Wages are comparable with home buying. Martin Luther King and those guys own their home. They weren't rich, but they were middle class. They were like what proper middle class was, right?
Exactly. Right, and part of that was because of World War II, right?
Right.
Where we helped lift them up. They served our country, except for, we can go into redlining but right. But yeah, and I think that's, and I see some questions, and I'll help you answer those questions too. But I can tell you too, and that's another thing I want to point out about my opponent is that every chance he's had to come into the Black and brown communities, he's refused.
Yeah.
It's like, you're invisible.
He's invisible. He's invisible to us for sure. We haven't seen him around here at all.
But we're all Nebraskans and we're all taxpayers. We all deserve equal treatment. We all deserve respect.
Yeah.
Right.
Couple of questions that are in the chat real quick. Sean McCarthy says, looking at the previous electoral maps, the western counties have been historically deep red. Have you seen any western counties that have either been competitive or at least starting to lean a bit purple? Good question.
I can only answer that in reference to my campaign. And I can tell you that when we were in Ogallala yesterday, there were more blood signs than Pillen signs.
Okay.
Like 10-1. You know,
Nice.
you go to Hastings, Nebraska. I mean, my grandkids were visiting Hastings a couple months ago, and they were just tickled because they saw grandma signs everywhere. But, you know, and we're not posting them in random spots. They're in people's yards, people that support me.
Yeah.
So we have definitely made inroads out in rural Nebraska. And, you know, we never thought we were going to win CD3. Like, come on. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
But we knew that and I talked about that last time I was here. We just have to take a bite of it, right?
Right.
A little here, a little there. But I can tell you that when our town halls weren't invite only and not just one party, we invited everybody every time we did town hall across Nebraska. Yeah. And I can tell you that we never had anybody walk out. And like yesterday was a really good example. We had 3 different Republicans on the way out the door say, "You have earned our vote."
Yeah.
You know, like I just wish we'd had better funding.
Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, we drove everywhere. We don't have a private plane like my opponent. You know, and you know, my 2006 Jeep Commander that's got like 300,000 miles on it, like couldn't go any further. She's parked in the driveway now.
It's a Jeep Lieutenant now.
Yeah. We're gonna take her out to that farm where they let them graze when they're old, you know. That's what they do, right? But yeah, I mean, I feel like every time we had the opportunity, we were very impactful. So I do feel like we've shown people too, like I'm not the boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm more like them than they realize.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at my background, I got lots in common with rural Nebraska. And I understand how hard it is, you know, to farm and to survive in a rural area, especially with a depopulation problem when you're losing your friends and your family and stores are closing.
And there's a drought.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you we turned it purple. And that wasn't our intent. Our intent was to just show people that there's a better future for everybody, and maybe they got to vote differently this time.
There you go.
Sounds good. A couple more questions. Well, one more. I'm gonna jump into the chat for one more question, but then we'll make it brief and we'll let you get out of here. We know you got a lot to do today. Ron's review says, does the new senator have any opinion on theory versus tactical teaching in school? While you think about that for a second, I just want to keep going. Linda in Chicago says, voting today will change the face of Nebraska and the country for a long time into the future.
Yeah,
if all eligible voters would vote to make their life better, we would have a better place. You ain't lying about that. Wanda Lewis says, young people are targeted for certain agendas such as debt. They can also join the military and own guns, even though they're not old enough to consume alcohol, or you know, they can barely drive, and they can't buy a house, they can't sign a contract on their own. It's ridiculous. Whitney Richardson, good morning, says, wow, that's encouraging to hear given how red the state usually is. It's good to know people can be persuaded past party lines. And I wanted to jump on that real quick because I'm thinking you're out there fighting the hard fight in the rural area, but we still have to convince people in non-rural areas that you're the person as well, which is like we consider some of our job here at First Sky Omaha because of that, because you know we're speaking to the communities, the city of Omaha, really, all sides. And you know, it's hard enough to get folks that align with what you're talking about to go out and get the vote in, because we need the numbers. We don't just need the minds changed, we need the numbers.
Right.
So you're out there doing the work of the mind changing in areas and you're also, I mean, you're doing all the work, but you're specifically out there targeting places that we wouldn't, and that's to get the minds changed. But it's like a different fight here. We're trying to get the minds changed over to vote in the first place, because if they would vote, they would vote for you because of, you know, everything aligns. So how have you found that? I just want to ask a quick question about that part of the fight, getting people to that are of like mind to get busy. How hard has that been for you?
Hard. Really hard. You know, first of all, people that are like-minded with me usually don't vote in non-presidential years. It's tough to run in a non-presidential year unless you have millions.
Wow.
Secondly, I think there's just so much apathy now, especially in certain demographics where they feel their vote doesn't count. But I can't tell you how many times over the last few decades a handful of votes meant the difference between a win and a loss. I mean, if I win by 1 vote, I still win.
Right.
Right? Like and it's hard. And you hear me get really excited about it, right? Like, we can win.
Yeah.
We can win, but not if people stay home. It's just not going to happen if you stay home. And yeah, your one vote does and can make a difference, as does your friends and your neighbors and your family. There should be no excuse to not vote. It's the only time really that we're all equal. One voice, one vote, right? Doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, how much money you make. We all are equal on the day that we vote. And that may change too with them trying to, that may change too with all the laws they're trying to push through to make it harder for you to vote. So this may be your last chance to truly be equal at the voting polls.
There you go. There's a lot at stake. It's a lot at stake. And with that, I do have one last final question for you. In regards to, when you do become governor, and if you don't get anything achieved but one thing, what is the one thing, the biggest thing for you that you hope to achieve as a governor, moving forward? If you just achieve this one thing, you can walk away saying, I did at least what I wanted to do.
Sincerely, to have a plan in place where everybody's voices were brought to the table, a living, breathing document that is a roadmap to our success now and in the future, and a budget that mirrors that plan.
Simple enough.
And the best answer I can think of. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Because I feel like something that will live beyond her. Like a living, breathing document is something that we can all point to as a plan. It's like, hey, are you the next governor? Are you following this plan?
Well, and it's the people's plan, not my plan.
Right.
Like that's what's important about it, is that we're going to travel all over Nebraska, just like I'm doing now. And what's important to your area? Is it bridges, roads, mental health, law enforcement, what is it? And then we'll take it and put it into one big plan. And then you'll know how your tax dollars are being spent. And you'll know what we're doing in Lincoln. Like it's very transparent, and it kind of makes sense, right? Like we have a plan. Here's how we're going to spend your money. And we're going to report back to you every year, so you know how your money's being spent. And I guarantee we're going to spend the money more wisely, and we won't keep having these things that we have to throw money at because we screw up.
Right.
Yeah. In the words of the Woo, can it be that it was all so simple then?
Love it. Thank you so much. When you become governor, we're going to have some deep fryers put into the governor's mansion for you, so that you can get, because we need you to get those wings going right away.
I'm telling you, friends, after the election, I promise, because we know we're going to get the best wings, my house. So,
hello, governor.
We appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to come on. Really appreciate you. Always is a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you so much, and for taking the time to come talk to little old us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And good luck. And we're going to keep on pushing. We're going to do as much as we can to try to make it happen. So anything that anything you can help us do, anything we can help you do, let us know.
You got it. Thanks,
Sweet.
friends.
Have a good one.
Best wishes. Peace.
All right.
All right. Man, that was a good answer. That was a damn good answer.
Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on her name. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. Thanks for all your questions as well. Mary Ann Williams says, go get him, Senator Blood. Whitney Richardson says, thanks. I appreciate that. Also, Ghost Listener 402 says, keyword to civic engagement is engagement. You ain't lying about that. Appreciate you very much. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that interview. Love when she comes on. Just think about how much work that she's doing and taking the time to get up in the morning and jump on the show and talk to us, because really she's talking to like-minded individuals, and she's got enough of a fight and then to be trying to tell us to go do what we already know we're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate her. Yep. Pop says she is the coolest yet. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Super cool.
Imagine having her as governor. Come on, man.
How much different would the state be if Carol Blood was governor? Come on, bro.
Make it happen.
We need to have a Stacey Abrams Carol Blood party when it goes down. Right,
yeah, I'm with it.
Yep. First Sky kick back and going down. All right, we'll take a quick break and come back in. We got some more things to discuss, and we got Dave Pantos coming up a little later on in the show. Also, we got the haps coming in soon, so get your haps together and ready for that. Also, if you're on Facebook, share the show. We'd love to get more people in to talk and all those things. And also, when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about what we started talking about before. Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on her name, came through. That's the little situation that happened with us Wednesday over here at First Sky Omaha. Would love to get your thoughts on the Republicans that came in talking as aggressively as they did, and what we did to have discussion, to try to keep it a discussion and not rhetoric. So love to hear what you thought about Wednesday and all that good stuff. And we'll come right back with our special guest. We'll have Dave Pantos in the house coming up. Stay tuned. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All Beee, Buddi3 Da Gawd. All of you. It's going down. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. All Beee, Buddi3 Da Gawd. All of you, the chat chimers, all of you, the ghost listeners. Really appreciate everybody that's joining us in the chat today. We got lots to talk about. Looks like who is that? Veron's Reviews and then picked out the sample in that last track. Howard Hewitt. I think it was Howard Hewitt. Good looking out, Mayor Sanchez. Appreciate that. Pop says I love this track. Yeah, I don't know how I accidentally hit that one. I fat fingered that one, so it slipped in there. But shout out to Jose Knox because he be knocking with his stuff. That's what's up.
Yeah, shout out to Jose.
Whitney Richardson says she likes these jams too. So happy accidents is what we call that. That's what's going on.
Shout out to Bob Ross. Shout out to Bob Ross.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Bob Ross indeed. Ghost Listeners 402 said I registered as Democrat but get more info from Repub makes no sense. Interesting thing to consider. He's over there on YouTube. If you didn't see that, definitely read the YouTube chats out because they don't always show up on Facebook. So just want to make sure that you guys know that you guys are all in the same conversation. And we shout out to everybody who's over on Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget we're over on Twitter as well. We don't know how long we're going to be there because we don't know what this Elon Musk thing is going to do.
Man.
But we're over there now. Let us know if you still mess with Twitter. A lot of people are jumping off over the uptake of the N-word and all the mess that's going on Twitter right now. But let us know.
500%.
500% is a lot of percent. That's a lot of
man.
Percent.
It's 5 times.
It's a lot of N-words. A lot of N-words.
Man, a lot.
804 right now if you believe in the concept of time. And speaking of time, we're going to go ahead and jump in on with our next guest because we know that everybody's busy right now. We only got a few more days to the election and they're working hard. So we appreciate they come in. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Pantos, our next county attorney. How you doing, brother?
How are you guys doing? Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Well, I am fired up, man. 4 days. I've been running for office for 38 years, and so I'm glad that we're finally at the end. It just seems that way. But man, every day is like,
long campaign.
Yeah, it's a marathon and a sprint, and like, I don't know, eating too much broccoli. It's just all at the same time. And but I'll tell you, I mean, the issues are there. I mean, when I jumped into this race in October of 2021, first thing on my mind was James Scurlock and that whole debacle and how my opponent, got some criticism, got his feelings hurt and decided to embrace Donald Trump. publicly, and that's still an issue for sure. And I like how the ring is like in my eyeglass.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I just got glasses like 2 weeks ago, so I've got kind of a like I'm a Homelander here or something. I'm about to
bright eyes today, bright eyes.
Anyway, so that's still an issue, but like so many things since then, we've got voter ID on the ballot, which is written directly to disenfranchise Black and brown voters and elderly voters. First of all, Roe v. Wade was overturned, and we've got these radical right-wing legislative candidates who are chomping at the bit to get in and restrict and criminalize abortion in Nebraska. We've got election deniers who are on the ballot throughout the country. And, I think that's why it's so important for folks to show up and vote for candidates who share your values, because otherwise we're going to be entering a very dark time in our republic. And so, I'm just letting folks know, look, I'm standing with you. I'm standing with democracy. I'm standing with reproductive freedom. I'm standing with criminal justice reform. We cannot forget the fact that Nebraska has some of the worst racial disparities when it comes to sentencing and incarceration in the country. And I just feel like we've done nothing to address that, because we had a criminal justice reform bill in the spring. My opponent, Don Klein, and Representative or Senator Susan Geist teamed up to defeat that. She's now running for mayor of Lincoln, Nebraska. She got $250,000 from a very conservative corporation there already. So so the people who are opposed to reform, who seem to want to enable the racism in our system, are not hiding right now. They are out there. They are running for office. We have one of them now running for mayor in Lincoln. We have another one right here in Douglas County running for a fifth term for county attorney after embracing Donald Trump, who got walloped in Douglas County. So this is just, there's a lot going on.
There is. Jumping in the chat real quick. Wanda Lewis said it shouldn't be legal for someone to switch political parties while currently holding a position or seat. Linda Chicago also says Don Klein has snubbed his nose at criminal justice reform.
Oh, yeah.
We just had Carol Blood on. Put some respect on her name. I was telling her that I learned something since the last time we talked to her about how much power that the governor has on our lives, even more so than like the president in some cases. And I also learned something about the county attorney's seat since the last time we talked to you. I have a friend in Hawaii that is going through some really, really terrible stuff right now with a family there, and she's getting no help from the courts, no help from lawyers, no help from judges, and she's realizing that the county attorney is the one that has been making a lot of the decisions. She informed me about how much power the county attorney actually has over your life, even more so than judges in a lot of cases. So, again, I'm understanding more about the power of the seat, and it makes it all that more important that you get in that seat because of what we watched happen with Don Klein the past few years. With Joaquin Fox, even having to go so far as to even protest in front of this man's house. This crazy thing that I saw when he switched parties, and they had this big Republican party on TV that I've never seen before over somebody switching a party. All the stuff, and then of course the most important thing, brother Skurlock in that situation. So I feel like you've come in the right time. You've done feet to boots to ground, doing a lot of work around town, getting people to understand who you are, what you stand for, what you're doing. And we always give you props for also helping people with the rental situation, giving of your time as a lawyer to help that situation out. And so it's obvious, again, like we were talking to Carol Blood about, you're in a room now where it's pretty much like-minded people that understand what's up and align with what it is that you're doing. So the fight here is, we would vote for him if we voted. So let's
right.
Can we go vote? I know that you're probably out in rural areas and places trying to change minds, but how hard has the fight been to be talking to people of like mind to go ahead and get those numbers up?
Yeah, it's I think you make a really good point, and I just want to touch on the governor's race real quick, because I have mad respect for Carol Blood, someone who I didn't really know very well before this election. I knew her as a good senator, but I've gotten to know her really well in this election, and she is just like, she has more integrity in her pinky than Jim Pillen has in his entire family, including his grandchildren. He's always got his ad. Oh, it was my grandchildren. Like, yeah, maybe you should have debated once. I've been in 5 forums or debates in this race, this local race, and he's done nothing. Anyway, the point is that a lot of people ask me, and this is a big issue. Hey, Dave, there's all these judges up for retention. I don't know anything about the judges. Where's the information about that? Who should I retain? Who should I vote to retain? Who should I vote no on? And, I've got my personal feelings about that, which I'm not going to get into right now in terms of who should go or not. But I want to remind folks, if someone doesn't get retained, it's not like, oh, we get to vote for the next judge. That's a gubernatorial appointment. So that's another important reason to vote for Carol Blood, because even if a bad judge gets voted out, if Carol doesn't win, that's going to be Jim Pillen's vote. That's going to be Jim Pillen's appointment. So that you got to look. You're right. The governor has a lot of power over that level. We don't vote for judges initially. We just vote to retain them. But the governor appoints them. Now they get recommendations from local attorneys and all that, but ultimately it is the governor's decision. And so that's an important thing to keep in mind. Now, getting back to your question about turnout, I was in North Omaha knocking doors on Sunday, and there was a great event earlier at the Revive Center with Representative Williams from Georgia, who's now in John Lewis, his seat, rest in peace. And after that, I was knocking doors, and man, the support was unbelievable. And these are folks who are fired up to vote. A lot of them already had voted because they voted early. I was speaking to an 84-year-old gentleman, and he was sitting out in front of his house when I got there, and he had, I guess, recognized me from ads. And he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna get my ballot in, but just remember, when you get in, keep your promise, keep that door open to the county attorney's office." And I said, "Absolutely, sir. I will be that open door, because right now I've made a big deal about this. It's like there's so little information about what's happening in the county attorney's office right now. It's very much when he wants to do a press conference on a particular case. So how do we get people to vote? Well, one thing we're doing, I know this morning, probably about 9 o'clock. So if there's folks on this call or on this show who are watching, if you have not turned your ballot in, you should probably be getting a text message from me in about 45 minutes. We're doing mass texts starting today to folks that we've identified as folks who have requested ballots, haven't turned them in yet. Get those ballots in. And then election day, we're going to do the same thing to all the folks who, that are potential supporters who haven't, make sure you vote today, get your ballot in, show up at the polling location. It's so important to vote in this election, because the fact is that voter ID is set up to deny you the right to vote in the next election, right? In 2024, when the presidency is on the line, they want this district, CD2, the elector, that gave an electoral vote to Biden. They don't want that anymore. That's why they did this.
They want to shut Precious McKesson down.
Yep.
They want to shut the elector down. No, you're right. Precious is, she was an icon. She is an icon. And so, what we're seeing is, and look, who led the charge? Julie Slama, right? In terms of getting the thing out there, but it was funded by Pete Ricketts and his mom. So the Ricketts family decided, no, let's eliminate the franchise for thousands of people in Nebraska in retaliation for us sending an electoral vote for Biden and putting Precious out there as the elector. Just look at it. So in 2008, we gave an electoral vote for Obama, right? And that's when they gerrymandered CD2 in response. This year, the response, because they can't gerrymander the demographics any further. Now they're just going to take the franchise away. Who's going to be impacted? Voters of color, Native Americans, especially folks who are in reservations. It's going to kill them because a lot of those folks do not have government issued IDs. Elderly people don't have them. Certainly, people who are homeless, they don't have. A lot of them don't have IDs. It's expensive to get an ID. And how are we going to do vote by mail? Like, what are we supposed to be sitting there by the post office or by your mailbox? Oh, here, letter carrier, here's my ID. Now you can take my ballot. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't see how we come out of this without less people voting. So obviously, a lot of folks are interested in voting. It looks like turnout's going to be the same as 2018, which was a high turnout year for a midterm. But we got to vote against this voter ID bill, vote for the minimum wage, vote for me and Carol and other good candidates running locally. Pay attention to all those races. You've got information on League of Women Voters website and each individual candidate's websites as well. So
for me personally, I was the reader has the reader this month has the League of Women Voters guide inside of its pages. So our partner has that in there, and I've been going through that, and the judges is where I got stuck. I could do and I got because we've had you guys on. I know most races, and it's really not as daunting. Really, you only got a few choices to have to make. And you already know some of them. So for New Blood, Dave Pantos, you know some of these already. We get to the judges, and then of course there's nowhere to research, and so on and so forth. So I'm glad that you mentioned today that judges retention it's important. If you can do some research, if you're in that world and then you can make some decisions. But the biggest decision to make is to vote the governor in, because the governor is the one that appoints these judges. But again, even the judges don't. Sometimes the county attorney can have more power than the judges. So let me throw a scenario out there for you real quick. I just talked to you a little earlier about my friend who's going through some stuff. She is in a domestic situation that's been tough. She's been going to the police. They kind of laugh at her. They kind of treat her like they can't do anything. She's been in front of the judge. Same thing. We're just going to let some things slide. She put a restraining order on this guy. He put one right back on her. They came in they sent CPS to her house to grab the kid. Bunch of stuff has been going on, and she's been making calls to the county attorney, and she's understanding that the county attorney she's gone through this process and realized that the county attorney could help the situation. I don't know if that particular county attorney is, but how should he be helping? What in a scenario like that? What would be your judgment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know the super specifics about that case, and I'm not licensed to practice in Hawaii, so don't treat this as legal advice. I'm just gonna speak as a candidate that and I've noticed this. It's interesting to your point, because we've done so much campaigning and advertising. We start getting phone calls at my campaign headquarters for the county attorney because we've flooded the zone so much. They think we're the county attorney's office.
That's a good sign.
So I think we're doing something right. At least we've figured out the matrix or something. And there'll be like a voicemail saying, oh, something like a protection order or this issue or that issue. And you get the sense that people don't know where to go in terms of actually getting these issues resolved. So they're just calling what they think is the main number for the county attorney's office. And that's something that I think is I would like to address as our next county attorney, is how do we reconnect the county attorney's office with the communities it's serving? When we had a debate, my opponent and I, that was sponsored by the Southwest Omaha Neighborhood Alliance, as well as the League of Women Voters. They were assisting with this as well. It was at the German American Society Hall at 120th, which was nice because we could get beer after the debate.
Nice.
After Klein and his team left, of course, it was just me and my team. That was a good night. Anyway, so I made the point, look, let's get each deputy county attorney to adopt one or more neighborhood associations and start going to, whether it's, North Omaha, South Omaha, anywhere, start going to these neighborhood association meetings and learn what some of the issues are and what the confusion is about the role of the office and how you get information. This way you can start getting feedback about where the gaps are, because you're right, a lot of people are really confused about the power of the county attorney's office, what role they have in the community. And, my opponent said, oh, well, that sounds like a good idea, but, we don't have the resources for that. We're already too busy. And I was like, dude, you've given up. Like, you admit this is a good idea. You say there's no way to accomplish it, and you just throw up your hands. And I'm like, you've given up. This is why it's time for him to move aside. He's been in for a generation. He brags about his experience. I'm just like, yeah, you have a lot of experience because you've been doing it way too long. It's time for a change. We need to get new, to borrow a phrase, new blood in the county attorney's office. It's not fair that she gets to just use that.
I mean, it's kind of fair. It's kind of fair. It's her name, so I mean,
it's her name. Yeah, well, my name doesn't help. People just make fun of me. Anyway, it's fine.
We need new Pantos. We need
new Pantos.
New Pantos. And it's time for a new day. So I think what we need to do is have this is something you mentioned, Jaqueen. I was meeting with him a year ago or more when I was getting into running, and I threw the idea out to him, like, we should have a full-time community liaison in the county attorney's office, whose job it is to be that sort of ombudsman. This is the person you call to figure out where you go. Just that one phone number, and it's got to be dedicated. Have a person who then has support staff, and and some folks ask, well, where's the money going to be coming for that? But I noticed this actually right before that debate I mentioned earlier. There was an announcement from the United States Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs, which is the big grant program from the Department of Justice, announcing millions and millions of dollars for criminal justice reform initiatives throughout the states. Now, you can imagine Don Klein's not going to be wanting to apply for criminal justice reform money because he just spent the spring defeating criminal justice reform. But I think we can jump on that and say, hey, look, criminal justice reform in Nebraska, in Douglas County means, a racial justice audit. It means improved community outreach, etc. We can use some of that money to hire that position. This way, people know where to go to find out. So like your friend in Hawaii, they would have that phone number, and that person would be responsible directly reporting to me, hey, here's, the 85 calls we got this week. Here's how we resolve them, blah, blah, blah. Every other major institution has an ombudsman. When I served as vice chairperson of Metropolitan Community College, the board would always get reports oh, here are all the folks that contacted Metro with complaints or problems, and here's how we resolve them. We would get that report every month. We should do the same thing with the county attorney's office because it's so important. Because, I mean, again, just because of our marketing, people calling us with questions about things like that, you get a sense of wow, there's a lot of confusion, misinformation. And you're right, a lot of people don't understand, unless they're in the system, the power of the county attorney's office, especially in Douglas County, the largest county in Nebraska.
There you go. Speaking of the power, just want to remind you that when you get in there, we're going to need to send Ernest home.
Yeah.
This is something that we've talked about before. I was sitting there the minute that you heard this case for the first time over at the Culture House. I was there with you. We mentioned this last time you were on, and I learned about it, went through it, and then I've heard you've been campaigning on the fact that you are that if you get in there, that's what's going to happen. Just want to jump in the chat real quick before we get to that, because Marianne Williams, who is pretty much she's pretty much the honorary journalist for First Sky Omaha these days. Question for Dave: I know the legislature has tried to expand on diversion programs, but can the county attorney improve the use of the programs they already have so far, and if so, how? Thank you.
Yeah, I think well, here's a huge improvement we need to make right away. And before I finish that answer, Ernest Jackson, I was walking my dog last night and I was talking to Lefty. I was like, wow, we can free Ernest Jackson in 2 months. Wouldn't that be great? and he just kept walking. But I know he supports freeing Ernest Jackson as well. But the fact that, and I don't remember if this is, I think we might have talked about this last time I was on, but the disparity when the Board of Pardons met a couple months ago, and they freed that American Legion guy who had terrorized his ex-wife for years. He got freed, but then at the same hearing, less than 3 minutes, consideration of Ernest Jackson, a man who has committed no crime, and has been in prison since 1999. It's amazing. And I make the point too, my opponent talks about all of his experience. He was not county attorney at that time, but he was chief deputy. And so that means he was managing all the prosecution at that time, which means Ernest Jackson's prosecution is on his watch. And the fact that he has said zero about Ernest Jackson being freed since then, that is an absolute tragedy.
He's got to go.
That'll be the first thing.
Yeah, I mean, not just Ernest Jackson, not just Skurlock, but also I forget the brother's name, unfortunately. But remember the gentleman that was killed by police, and then his case went to grand jury. It was like wrapped up into 5 different grand jury cases, and it was just swept under the rug.
Yeah, they had their COVID grand jury. Was that Kenneth Jones? Is that his name? Kenny Jones.
Kenneth
Jones. I always can remember his name because it's the same name as the second drummer of the Who. After Keith Moon died.
Word association.
He was the drummer on like Face Dances, and it's hard.
We don't know what you're talking about yet.
I just wanted to be really white for a second there and just talk about.
Hey, do you, bro?
Back to the question about diversion programs. So here's the problem right now. And this is a huge distinction between me and Klein. He says. So, he's done stuff with diversion programs. He's, I think his big thing has been, on the veterans court side. I respect that. I'm not going to criticize that. But on drug diversion, he says we need to keep low-level drug possession a felony because that's an incentive to keep people in the program. I totally disagree with that. I think the number one way to get someone reformed is so they can get a job, right? And how do you get a job if you have a pending felony conviction or a pending felony charge on your record? It's almost impossible. So what we need to do is we need to implement criminal justice reform. LB 920 said, let's change the charge for minor possession of any drug from a felony to a misdemeanor. This makes it less likely that person will have a barrier to getting a job. This way they'll be more successful in diversion. And here's the thing, he talks about his role in expanding these diversion courts, but there's no statistics. He's never providing how many people actually complete these programs. And I think the ongoing drug prohibition laws in the state are a barrier to successful completion of these programs. It's still too strict, and it's based on what we all know as being the racist drug prohibition standards, which again go back to, it's not his fault specifically. It goes back to the 1930s, the 1920s and 30s. But the fact that we're still struggling with these 1980s standards in Nebraska when most of the rest of the country has moved on is ridiculous. So I think, that's how we expand on diversion programs. We also need to have a young adult court for 18 to 25. We need to, have more diversion for mental health. We need to invest more in mental health services so those folks aren't in the criminal justice system. So there's really a lot more we can do in terms of diversion. But I think that's a big thing, is we need to address the over-sentencing of minor possession.
Very, very, very deep. Love hearing you talk. We got about a minute before we're gonna let you go ahead and get about your day. But just love hearing you talk about some of these issues that, like I said, you're in groups here that's like-minded individuals. Our job here is to say, hey, you hear what he's saying, you agree. Let's go make it happen. Let's go get him in the seat. which is what this is all about here too. So appreciate that. Pop says Dave Pantos is the man. That's what's up.
Hey.
Also a little
So is
earlier.
Pops.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Ghost Listener 402 has a sentiment that I share, and a lot of people share. Everybody want my vote, but nobody has a plan for North Omaha. Sounds like you do have a plan, and you definitely have been showing up here. Whereas we ain't seen the likes of Don Klein since
Yeah, so Skurlock, really.
yeah, since the Republican coming out party that he had on TV. So we haven't seen him down here. So you've been here doing the work. Appreciate that. Linda in Chicago over on YouTube says Klein on what's once easy diversion for votes. Otherwise, he's against it. So we're privy to his strategies for sure. Before you get out of here, let us know about how do you feel that the race is going? Honestly, how do you feel like what's happening here as far as you having a chance to get into that seat? Are you feeling that everybody's sick of Don Klein, ready for a change? Like what's your consensus of just kind of being out in the public and talking to people the way you do? What are you getting from people?
Yeah, I think people are ready for a change. Just looking at the numbers for the early votes that are already in, they're looking good for our side. And, I think, it's an interesting race because, it's not just a traditional generic Democrat versus Republican race, given all that happened in 2020 and the controversy around him. But this is a guy who, like I said, he embraced Trump. And he threw himself to be a fully partisan Republican. I just want to remind folks, a week before the primary this year, he had a press conference in front of the courthouse during working hours to endorse Jim Pillen for governor. So he got heavily involved in the Republican primaries, picked a side. He picked Jim Pillen, who is a theocratic pig purveyor. From central Nebraska over Brett Lindstrom, the local guy who most, moderate Republicans supported. So he's taken a hard right turn. Now, Jim Pillen is someone, and, you had Carol on, but this is a guy who introduced a resolution trying to prevent any discussion of race at the University of Nebraska back in 2021 as a regent. This is a guy whose campaign ads all involve him walking around with semi-automatic rifle on his shoulder. So he's way out of step with Douglas County. So the fact that Klein jumped up and endorsed him in the primary shows that he's become a hyper-partisan county attorney. So
Bro, he always he can act like he was a Democrat before, but I think that he was in there trying to sabotage. He's always been on that side of things. Messed up. Katie L in the chat says, "Thank you, Mr. Pontos, for you're valuing all Omahans, Douglas County residents. It's time for a change, especially after Klein by Don. Bye, buddy. You got any questions for Brother Pontos before we let him go?"
Well, I actually did want to go back to the question from Ghost Listener 402 in regards to saying everybody wants to vote, but nobody has a plan for North Omaha. I was curious as far as what do you identify as kind of the biggest issue in North Omaha specifically? Like, before you have a plan, you have to identify an issue to address that plan. So what do you think is the biggest issue?
Yeah, I don't think there's a local candidate that's this election that's done more to outreach to North Omaha voters. I've been knocking doors. I've been, obviously I've been on this program. I was on The Boss yesterday afternoon, been on his program a couple times, William King. I've been up there for forums. Obviously, we had a great turnout for the Juneteenth parade. I've got, my favorite thing about that parade, and I don't think I've talked about this on the show. So it's Juneteenth. We're lined up with my team, and out of nowhere shows up Brenda Council, and she's wearing my campaign's shirt. And I was like, that is so amazing.
Nice.
It was such an honor. So it doesn't stop with the election, because a lot of the reforms I want to bring about, some of which I can do as county attorney. I can press a button, they can happen. A lot of other things involve coalition building and partnerships with leaders and folks in the community. So it can't just stop at the election. So I'm going to be back up in North Omaha repeatedly. I mean, the fact is that the overall disproportionate amount of people from North Omaha zip codes who are in prison, it's just astonishing. We need to do something about this. And I am absolutely committed to make that a focus of the campaign. I mean, I think Ernest Jackson's kind of like the headline, right? But then you got the day-to-day stuff about criminal justice reform, and I just want to call it like I said, a racial justice audit, and it's not gonna be just some consultant coming in from Seattle and it's happening in a boardroom somewhere. It involves community input and getting folks continually involved so they're part of the process. I don't think it's going to succeed otherwise, because there will be forces of resistance. I mean, whether it's, and I've been calling for an independent police officer, auditor in Omaha, something we desperately need. I want to partner with as many people as possible, but there will be resistance. That's why the community's got to stick together and continue to support me even after I win.
There you go.
All right.
Appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Pantos, running for county attorney, our next Douglas County attorney.
There you go. Speak it. Own it.
Linda in Chicago says, Dave Pantos has shown he is inclusive, helps all of Douglas County, not just some sides.
There
and
you go.
we definitely appreciate that around here. So thank you very much for taking some time during your day. I know that you're going to be just packed with activity all the way up until Tuesday. So we really know what it means for you to take some time out this morning for us. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks to all the chimers, the ghost listeners, and everyone in the First Sky community. You guys are amazing, and I love just even tuning in and catching the discussion on here throughout the year. I mean, it really gives me a better sense of what the needs are on the ground. So you guys are amazing. Make sure you vote. If you're voting by mail, or you're doing early ballot, send me a screenshot of your vote. We always like to put those up on social media. And thanks to everyone.
Nice.
Oh, thank you, man.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Mama God saying, best luck at the polls. Thank you.
Peace. All right, that's what's up. Dave Pantos, the next county attorney. I can't stress enough that the only way he's going to get there is if we have the numbers, and we do have the numbers. We just need to make sure everybody gets out there and actually checks that box. So please do. Again, I can't stress enough how much power that particular seat has. Who's in it now is a lot of the reason why we got a lot of brothers in jail and a lot of ridiculous stuff going on. That's just what it is. And, this is what we're trying to do right here. We're trying to send Ernest home. We're trying to get somebody in there that can be fair and can listen to arguments and to not have a political slant and agenda when it comes to what's going on, in our justice system, somebody who's behind us. So you guys have seen him all over the place, man. He's been deep in the hood for sure. Talking to everybody, like I said, knocking doors constantly, talking to people constantly, going to Culture House, hanging out here, hanging out with 95.7 The Boss. You know what I'm saying? He's really trying to be available for us and let us know that if he gets in that seat, things are going to happen. So let's get him in that seat for sure. Gwen Easter gives us a good morning. What's up? She says, I'm glad I got to hear from him. Free Ernest. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Definitely. Make sure you check out DavePantos.com for more information on the issues that he's addressing, his platform, to get more familiar with him. Also, if you want to volunteer in this last final stretch before Election Day, again, check out DavePantos.com.
Most definitely. Carolyn Jack says, many judges on the ballot were appointed by Governor Heineman. I voted no to retain several, making the way for new blood. There you go. See, Carolyn Jackson's on that strategy. That's what's going on. Dave Pantos says also day of action Sunday noon. Okay.
Some haps.
Yep, one of the haps. We'll talk about that. 505-015 Dodge Street. There you go. I'm going to be at that the Opera Omaha Life and Times of Malcolm X during that time. But yeah, of course. Yeah, we definitely want to say, if you're not going to be out there, if you're going to see the opera Friday night, then you might want to go ahead and. I'm sorry, no, that's Sunday. We're talking Sunday noon. So Sunday noon, day of action out there with Dave Pantos, 5015 Dodge Street. We'll throw that in the haps for sure. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and stay tuned. We definitely have a few more things that we want to get into a discussion on. And then, of course, we have the haps a little bit later as well. So stay tuned for all that. Again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you, chat chimers, ghost listeners, friends of First Sky Omaha. And that's all. The fam. That's what's up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't you touch nothing. Welcome back. You just seen the First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. We want you to get down to the polls.
Man.
Sign your pity on the running kind.
Yes, sir.
And do the thing, my main Damie. Appreciate you sticking with us throughout the show.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate all your comments and all your questions for Dave Pantos and Carol Blood. Put some respect on their names. Fighting a good fight, trying to get into those seats. We got to help them get into those seats. We're talking to mostly like-minded people here. So the question is whether or not you're going to make time to go down and actually check those boxes, get them in those seats. We need as many people as we can because we're in a red state. So, but believe it or not, we got numbers, and those numbers, if we can get everybody who hears this and understands it and believes it to go vote, then then they will win. That's just all there is to it. We definitely have the numbers as long as we can get the numbers to the polls. So that's what this is all about for us, is really to encourage that as long as we're on here getting busy and talking about some of these things. We've introduced you to these candidates. We have been talking about their issues and what it is that they want to solve. We've put some things in front of them and said, what would you do to solve these things? They've answered our questions. And hopefully you, like us, you're forming an opinion about who it is that needs to be in these seats and ready to go take action on that. So appreciate everybody that's joining us. 8:43 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, if you have any, we were talking a little earlier about what went down on Wednesday. If you have any thoughts about that, put them in the chat. Let's definitely chime up and talk about that a little bit. Maybe there's nothing to say. I was just going to leave a little room for us to talk about it on Wednesday, what happened Wednesday, but maybe it's all talked out. I know one thing. I know the chat chimers chimed up and shut down a lot of the rhetoric that was happening from visitors that were in the room at the time, and they continue to do so even after the show was over on Friends of First Sky Omaha and on the main First Sky Omaha page. So shout out to y'all that's doing that. Precious McKession's always ready to battle, so she was in there letting them have it.
Yeah.
And baby, yes. So that's what's up. Let us also get your haps together too. We're going to talk about that in a minute. What you think we ought to be doing this weekend? Besides digging into that League of Women's Voter Guide and studying it up so we can get out there. What else is going on this weekend? What you got going on this weekend, buddy? Or we don't talk about all the things you got going on enough, because man, you making some things happen out there in the ATL.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Actually, I am supposed to be going out to Columbus, Georgia, this weekend. There's a HBCU there that's having a classic. I forget which school, but they are having a classic. And Columbus, Georgia is actually one of the markets that the new show, the We Outside show, is being syndicated in. So we're gonna go out there, do some promotion for the new show. Mingle with the peoples. stuff like that. So yeah, there's that. Actually, I'm going to be doing some head smoking down here myself, educating myself about the candidates here in Georgia, because I am registered to vote, and I will be voting next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Of course for Abrams, of course for Warnock, but trying to familiarize myself with some of the other candidates out here. So yeah, I'm gonna be kind of doing that research, and beyond that, man, just taking care of myself. Just chilling out, taking it easy. So yeah, a little self-care.
Wait a minute, you're not voting for Herschel Walker?
Come on, man. Well, what that pastor say? We need a runner, not a walker. We need a runner, not a walker.
That's too funny, man. That's too funny. Yeah, it's interesting. The stuff. It's interesting. Like, of course, like my whole world, everything on the news is like what's happening here in Omaha, and then the rest of it is like what's happening in Atlanta.
Man,
Herschel Walker. Yeah,
it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what's up. I think they're inextricably linked. What's going on between Omaha and Atlanta in a big, big way, and going through some of the same issues. Got some of the same kind of population. There's more black folks there. It's more densely populated with black folks over in Atlanta, but the number of folks in each city, the size of the cities are similar, and it's just interesting, like how one can be one way and another can be a different way. And the similarities and the disparities, and the links. That's what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot we can learn from them. A lot they can learn from us in a big way. So I love that. Mama God said he showed this, say that loud and clear. Yeah.
Let them know. So yeah. That's definitely what I'm on this weekend. Feel free to drop any haps that you have going on. But before we get to the haps, let's go ahead and jump into a quick lightning round. Is that right?
Okay? Sounds good. Yep.
All right, there you go. So again, before we get out of here, several stories to dive into. And actually, speaking of the Omaha, Georgia connection, there's actually a pastor down here, Pastor Lee May, who is the leader of Transforming Faith Church, which is down here in Stonecrest, Georgia. But he's part of a national organization called Faiths United to Save Democracy, which is a multi-faith, multiracial coalition that's enlisting 700 chaplains and lawyers. It's actually an effort called Lawyers and Collars, which they're hiring chaplains and lawyers to be at polling places, just in case there's any questions, any tensions, anything, because it's getting crazy. So for those of you who have not voted early, for those of you who have not elected to get an early ballot mailed to you and are planning to go to the polls, just be careful, be wary, and understand that there are some tensions that you might face, but don't let that stop you from having your voice be heard. And also don't let anybody try to make you show ID.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that part.
It's easy to do. It's easy to do. It happened to me once, and then they were like, "Can I see your ID?" And I pulled it out just like I was at the bar or something. Forgot. And midway, I was handing it to him, like, "Wait a minute, I don't need to show you this."
Yeah. But again, rising tensions across the country has prompted clergy groups to mobilize for the midterms with new approaches and broader coalitions. So again, just be wary. Don't want to stoke fear, but definitely want to make you aware.
For sure.
And also, in other news, the state of Nebraska is now making headlines again for the wrong reasons, this time coming out of the Department of Health and Human Services, who has now paid $11 million in delinquent bills to a state contractor who provides critical healthcare data to doctors and hospitals. Sync Health, which is a La Vista-based contractor, operates the statewide health information exchange and apparently hadn't been paid to the tune of $14 million. And the $14 million a year contract that they're under, apparently, as reported by the Nebraska Examiner back in September, the lack of payment prompted a group of hospitals and healthcare administrators who use the data to implore Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services to fulfill its contract and avoid threatening the flow of essential data. Of course, we talked about the breach, the data breach that took place, the hack attack that went on for Nebraska hospitals and how it impacted certain people. Again, Mama God had trouble even getting her insulin, and I'm sure a lot of people dealt with those same issues. So again, it is very important for the data and the information to be passed from institution to institution, and for Nebraska's Department of Health and Human Services to simply not pay is ridiculous. Also, given the fact that they had no problem paying St. Francis Ministries. So yeah. Now, also in other news, shout out to the chat chimers for bringing this to our attention. Not only did they not have problems paying St. Francis, but they also apparently didn't have a problem in pushing this denim gate to the Nebraska Supreme Court.
Denim gate.
Yeah, so apparently not only are the Department of Health and Human Services not paying the people responsible for managing our data, but they are paying for a battle that went all the way to Nebraska Supreme Court over whether or not state agency workers can wear blue jeans on Friday.
That's what they're spending taxpayer money on, while they're not paying $11 million of their $11 million bill somewhere.
Yeah, that part. Apparently, the union that supports this, the Nebraska Association of Public Employees, or NAPE, say that it's more than just the battle over blue jeans. It's about holding state agencies to the fire, really holding them accountable for upholding union negotiations and terms. But is that really the mountain you want to die on? Is that really the battle you want to pick?
Our highest court on whether or not they wear blue jeans to work. All right, Erica Felt, because that's the important stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's we don't have to read it anymore, man. It's time for new blood. Let's just put it like that, man. Let's put it like that. They're going to Supreme Court over blue jeans and paying $650 million for new lakes, while the average everyday person is struggling. So new blood. That's all. That's all we want to say.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna jump in the chat real quick before we get to the house. Mama God is talking about going to vote on Tuesday. Said, and don't start no mess. Prepare yourself to vote smart, vote and leave. Safe voting will be key.
There you go.
For sure. Wanda Lewis says, in Adams County, Colorado, a poll worker received a ballot with a powdery substance in it. In Arizona, poll workers are wearing safety vests. Some states have security officers at ballot drop boxes. Some election offices has replaced their glass windows with wooden ones. What's really going on? Are people this crazy? Well, somebody went into Nancy Pelosi's house and bashed her husband's head in with a hammer. So yes, it's wild. And if you watch the latest season of Atlanta, you'll see an episode that talks about this, describes this, about quote unquote white supremacist groups coming out to harass people at the polls, and it's a real thing. It's happened. It's been happening, and it probably will.
Episode, but the goofy episode.
What'd you say? The goofy episode?
Yeah. I haven't seen the episode you're referring to, but the goofy episode blew my mind. But yeah, I have to check that out. But Atlanta's always on top of playing on what's really going on in society and kind of flipping it on his head. But yeah, I mean it's real. It's real. And then also, again, we're not trying to stoke fear, but be aware. Like, Nebraska has the most active hate groups.
Here goes Whitney Richardson chiming up. She says, those are extremists. We're talking about extremists. Don't get it twisted. I heard this earlier too. There's really not a problem with voting across the country. Republicans want to try to act like it's a big problem. There's going to be a bunch of stuff, and there's things that happen here and there that are scary. But for the most part, it's still what the process is still what it is. The process has been going on for a long time now. It's you can still go and it will still be fine. She says those are extremists. That's right. If those things happen, it's extremists. But they didn't want to talk about that on Wednesday. They didn't like that word extreme, even though people act extreme at the polls sometimes. But you got to keep your eye open and definitely think about that when you go. And like Mama Guy said, don't start none, won't be none. Let's just go do your thing and go and get out of there. That's it.
There you go.
Brother Valentine says, in words of Von Chapman, Nebraska is slowly becoming the Mississippi of the West. Yeah, man. Little stuff going on. Erica Fell says the Goofy movie episode. I used to own that VHS from my now 25-year-old. We always knew Goofy was black. I don't know.
Yeah.
We always and some of the stuff you don't even know. You seen that episode? It blow your mind when you find out.
Blew my mind.
The documents that they were talking about in that episode was real. It was real. And while we're at it, man, shout out to Thomas Washington, the most gangster CEO ever. Yeah.
Man, go check out the episode, y'all. Please.
Go check out Atlanta. It is 8:54 already, man. I'm sorry. Did I say 8? Yeah, 8:54 already. And we really got to get to the haps, because this happens. This been happening to us every time. Ladies and gentlemen, Time for the haps.
What's the haps? What's happening? What's going down?
We so lax on the haps, we ain't even played the song for like 2 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the haps. Time for us to let you know about a couple things that you ought to be checking out this weekend and this week, and a couple things. Let us know about some of those things too, about what you think is important enough for us to be talking about it for sure, for sure. And with that, buddy, do you got some haps for the people?
Well, first of all, it's going down this weekend, man. The life and times of Malcolm X.
Yes.
Yes, it's going down. Big shout out to Opera Omaha. Big shout out to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Big shout out to everybody involved with this. Those who have already purchased their tickets. Again, big shout out to Miss Joy, who we spoke to earlier this week to get us excited about this event coming up, man. So definitely check it out. She says it's going to be the perfect introduction to opera. So for those of you who are not familiar with the opera, have never gone, this is the perfect time to see it. Yeah. And of course, I mean, it's the life and times of Malcolm X in the birthplace, Omaha, Nebraska. So we definitely got to support, man. So definitely check that out.
It'll be at the Orpheum, 7:00 on Friday night. I'm sorry, 7:00 on
Friday.
Yeah, Friday night.
And then the matinee on Saturday.
No, matinee's on Sunday, I believe. 2:00 on Sunday. So we'll be going to the matinee. A few of us are gonna go check out the matinee on that Sunday. Yeah, it was the 4th and it was the wait a minute, what's the dates on these things now? Now I'm getting mixed up. Let me check it out real quick. Opera Omaha is going down. Let's see. It is where's the dates? Select the performance. Yeah, Friday the 4th. So that's actually today at 7:30. Tonight, 7:30, Friday the 4th. And then Sunday, I'm thinking this is Thursday or something, man. This is Friday. Friday the 4th at 7:30 it's going down. And then Sunday, November 6th, it's going down at 2:00. So this Sunday is when we got tickets for. We're gonna go check them out over there on this Sunday. If you want to go, if you can't go tonight at 7:30, meet us there at on Sunday this at 2:00. It's going down over there. So definitely check that out. It'll be a good time. Also, what's happening on Sunday too is it's going down with the Omaha the OEAA is going to do their reveal at the Benson Theater that later on that evening at the Benson Theater. So we're going to hit that 2:00, and then later on 6 or 7 we're going to go over to the Benson Theater and check that out. And we'll do some. They're going to have me do an announcement this time. I'm going to announce the best music category or something like that. So that should be fun.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to our partners over at the OEAAs. They always get down. Also, shout out to the Culture House, Nona, Nebraska Civic Engagement Table. Party after the polls. That's going down at the Culture House. Election day, November 8th, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Again at the Culture House. That's 303014 North 24th Street. Party after the polls. Again, big shout out to everyone putting this on. As Sister Snipe says, this is a celebration for handling business.
There it is. Party
yeah, there we go. Yes, this is a celebration for handling your business. Get out the vote in North Omaha. Let's definitely make sure we can't complain, man, if we're not doing what we can.
Yeah. We got to do it. Look, we got the numbers. We can make the change. We just got to get there and do the simple action of doing the vote. That's all there is to it. There's nothing to it. Take 5 minutes. It looks like they also got a watch party going on that day. Is it the 8th? So 7 to 9:30, they'll be there a little later on that night. Brianna Full Election Night Watch Party, also at the Culture House. So you can just kind of bring some stuff down there and just chill out this Culture House on election night. See what's popping. Most definitely. Also, I just talked to Brianna Full wanted to come on Monday, and it looks like we have an opening for that now. So I think she will be on Monday with us to talk a little bit about what's going on with her race. Along with we got another special guest that's on Monday too. We got a few guests that's on Monday. We'll just stay tuned for that. We'll tell you about that as it comes. But just want to shout out also there if you need it. There's a day. So also Coco is playing at the Benson Theater. This is coming up as well. Man, I thought I had my date straight. I'm sorry about this. Let me see. Let me grab this date real quick. But this is going to be good, like afternoon thing to do with the kids. Somebody from Y Arts is coming out and they're going to do masks with the kids. This is Saturday, November 5th at 11:30. You can come out, eat a little food, get some mask crafts going on with the kids, and then watch Coco. And it'll be a good, nice little afternoon to have with the kids there. If you needed some time to get out with them, which I heard you guys do. Everybody kind of needs somewhere to take the kids. Sometimes we'll see what's up.
It helps.
There you go. Whitney Richardson says, "I hate I'm going to miss it. Heading out of town for a wedding. Y'all enjoy it for me talking about the opera. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll
Safe
definitely.
travels.
Yep. Josh Teg is giving us the dates tonight and Sunday for the opera. 7:30 tonight, 2 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to go on Sunday for sure. So appreciate that. Also, Miss Erica Felt says the event is tomorrow 11 to 2 with spaghetti plates from Sergeant Pepper's and Rotella Bake Sale, Omaha Children's Museum, entertaining the children, raffles and silent auctions. Get your holiday shopping started. All to help my family make it until April when I can return to work after double mastectomy, chemo, and radiation. Every dollar donated is greatly appreciated." Yes, she's talking about the event that they're going to hold for her. Where's the flyer for it? I thought I had a flyer for it. Dang it!
I got you.
You got it? Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
I didn't pull it down. I've set it aside, but didn't pull it down. But here we go.
That's all right. That's all right. Again, a benefit from Miss Erica Felt, one of the chat chimers, one of the fam, as she said, going down tomorrow from 11 to 2 at St. Thomas Lutheran Church. That's 17007 Q Street.
Yes.
Come on, get you some good food, man. Sergeant Pepper's is good food. It's good food, but also it's also for good cause.
Right. That's what's up. Yeah, 11 to 2. I'll definitely meet you guys over there to do that. And don't forget, she just told the story. This is what's going on, and we're trying to help her and her family out while and during this time of need. We want to do that for all chat chimers, and she happens needed this time. So let's do that. And a nice little event to go to as well. Go check that out. And we really appreciate everybody who's helped out so far. Let's continue to help out while she is in need for that. So let's not slow down on that. You know how it is. You can get behind real fast. And she's a business owner, owns her own business, is taking care of the kids. First Sky Omaha is about the children, and so we're all about that and all about her young son and everybody that is in her. Everybody who is supporting her. Just really appreciate that for sure. Marianne Williams says the group that infiltrated chat Wednesday is the Nebraska Federation of Children. I think that's the one that what's the other candidate that was running next to Pillin? Herbster funded. We were just talking about some money that he put in on a PAC. So anyway, it was the Nebraska Federation for Children. They're extremely well funded and well paid to come here and harass Deb Neary. Very interesting. So you got some proof there in a Twitter feed. Go ahead and check that out from Seeing Red Nebraska over there on Twitter. Thanks for dropping that. Marianne Williams is doing a lot of the good work and dropping some gems over there on Friends of First Sky Omaha, doing some research for us. We really appreciate that very, very much. So yeah, definitely check them out. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good thing to bring up. It wasn't just individuals that were coming in aggressively talking and pushing their agenda. They weren't really there for a conversation that was really obvious. It was an actual organization that came in to try to be strategic and on attacking Deb Neary and our show and everything else. So that's what happened. And I feel like Chad Chimers handled it admirably for sure. And if it happens again, we kind of know what to do. So I just wanted to kind of make room and make sure that we talked about that and talked about what that was. It made me appreciate the group that we have because we could be out here in a way where we had this battle. If we had a battle like that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't know. That's not the kind of show we wanted to put together, to be out here battling well-funded groups that want to attack. So that's what's up. Miss Erica Fell says my son Boogie will be attending a cybersecurity competition at North while we're out eating good at the fundraiser. That's what's up though. A cybersecurity competition.
And we need it.
Love that.
I mean, some would say World War III is being fought right now, and some of these cyber attacks is a part of it. There are hospitals, a lot of utility companies.
Yeah, man.
Being hacked.
Yeah. So we need our young folks to learn these things and learn how to code and do all these things. That's what's up. Appreciate you. Please support him doing that.
Best luck, Boogie.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying best luck to Boogie.
Yeah, best luck to Boogie for sure, man. Love to hear what happens there. With all that said, I guess it's time to get out of here. We're already late again, 9:04. If you believe in the concept of time, buddy, anything that is standing out that we're missing here that we need to really be talking about? I mean, besides that, so the thing that's happening is the election on Tuesday.
yeah, that's the main thing. I don't really have many other haps aside from that. But no, I mean, If we are forgetting something, please let us know. But as always, take care of yourselves. Drink plenty of water, as Miss Erica Phelps says. Definitely make sure you're paying attention to your self-care regimen. If you don't have one, get one. And if you haven't voted already, get out there and vote. Have your voices heard. As Precious always says, man, we wouldn't see the effort and the movements and the money directed towards stopping people from voting if it didn't matter.
Really, really real. And also don't forget, always stay gangster like Thomas Washington.
Hey,
Wherever you at. That's what's up.
Peace.
We're gonna get out of here. Carolyn Jack says, "Great show. Have an awesome weekend. Thank you very much for sure." Ms. Erica Phil says, "I hope everyone has a beautiful weekend, creating new memories. Drink water, check your health, and direct your money." I heard that. Appreciate you very much. Linda Chicago says, "Have a fun and safe weekend, everyone." And Marianne Williams says, drop your ballots off this weekend and enjoy yourselves. Next week is going to be a ride. Thanks, First Sky. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing and helping us out too. We really appreciate that. Shout out to all the chat chimers when it comes to that for sure. We'll have our show on Monday, of course, with some special guests. And then we're going to have a special show Tuesday morning, vote day, with Michelle Trotzler joining us. And then, of course, we'll have our Wednesday show to talk about all these good things. So, yeah. Next week will be nice and full. So, yeah, get some rest. Enjoy yourself this weekend, all that good stuff. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Brooke. Appreciate everybody that is there. Buddy, are you stuck?
No, no. Why do you keep thinking I'm stuck?
Bro, because seriously, it's like the screen stuck. That's crazy that you're in that deep of thought where you're just like focused, deep focus.
Yeah. You need it. You need focus.
All right, we're gonna get out of here then, man. You got any words for the people?
Man, as always, man, peace and love. I came, I leave as I came, and big shout out to our guests. Shout out to Carol Blood, Senator Carol Blood, future governor of Nebraska, and also Brother Dave Pantos, future county attorney for Douglas County. We appreciate y'all for taking the time out of your campaign to come speak with us. And until next time, y'all have a safe weekend. Peace.
That's what's up. I want to give thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Some of those elders are going to be at this event at the Benson Theater. Rhymes for Young Ghouls happening November 9th at 7 p.m. Lavelle Wells, Sarah Leigh Harlan, Grace Johnson, Calvin Harlan, elder from the Omaha tribe. They're going to be there to do a talk back after the movie. So definitely check that out too. Go to bensontheater.org and see that. It's Indigenous Month, man. It's going down this month, so we got to talk about things. Shout out to them. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. Shout out to everybody running, man. Shout out to Stacey Abrams, man. Shout out to Carol Buzz. Shout out to everybody that's fighting the good fight. Of course, send Ernest home, please. We really need this to happen. We really need people to get behind this. As you can see, one of the best things you can do is vote for Dave Pantos, because he'll have the power to be able to do that. And that's where we got to stand on that. Shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Really, really appreciate that. Wanda Lewis says, on this day a star was born. Guess who?
Hey.
Love, peace, and happiness. Happy birthday to Wanda Lewis. Yeah, star chat chimer. That's what's up. Really appreciate you. Thank you very much. I saw them pictures that your daughter dropped on Facebook. I was like, man, she been doing this like every year, dropping old school photos and stuff like that. That's what's up. Loves her mama. We love you too, so we really appreciate you, and thank you very much for being a part of what we're doing here. And this is the good day. This is your day, so appreciate you.
Yes. Today
Have
is
fun
your day.
Let us
Enjoy
know
it.
if you're gonna do anything fun later on the night. Let us know. You're going out for a little cocktail, do something. Let us know. My slide by. You never know.
Hey.
Yep. So anyway, we're very late now. I want to get out of here. Thank you so much for everybody who's joined us. We will see you Monday. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves and all that good stuff. And don't forget, man, drop that stuff off at the polls. Get it done early. Cruise this weekend and see the aftermath next week with us. We'll see what's going on. Till then, have a good one. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious. This is protected by the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad, with the key.
By any